And we back. Now here on YouTube, I'm known as the quiz guy, the opinionated NBA fan. But when anybody asks me, Kenny, can you upload some in real life basketball footage? My number one answer is, I'm not a hooper. But the real answer should be, I'm not a hooper anymore. Because once upon a time, I actually was a pretty solid dude on the basketball court. In today's video, I'm going to be telling y'all the story of when my basketball playing career ended. And spoiler alert, it has something to do with these marks on my shoulder. So this is the first story time I've done in like a year. So if you do like the stories, let me know in the comment section and leave a like, because I got plenty of stories in the 21 and a half years. Am I too old to be putting halves on my age in the almost 22 years of my life? But let's get into this story, all right? So we're gonna take it back 5, 6, close to even 7 years ago. That's crazy. We're talking freshman year of high school. So I've told this story before, but one thing I always struggle with is trying to put together all the pieces in chronological order. So in preparation for this video, I talked to my old coach. Believe it or not, I still got his contact. We talking freshman year in high school. I'm turning 22 this year. That's like 6 years ago. I still got my coach's number and he still answers the phone. Shout out, coach. I talked to my girlfriend and some of my old teammates who helped me piece things together. So we're talking freshman year basketball. Tryouts come around and I make the team. That's obvious. You know, when I say I used to be a hooper, I really used to be a hooper. But I was never really like the king around town. I was never the best player. So my freshman year, there's about 60 people to try out and 24 people made the team. Now, the reason there was so many people on the team is because we had a freshman A team and a freshman B team. Pretty self-explanatory. The A roster is for the better players. The B roster is for people like me, who were solid, but maybe not good enough to be on the highest stage, where I was the starting point guard on the B team. And that's where we get to meet people like Mike, one of my homies for Through the Wire podcast, same thing with Derek. We all met that freshman year of basketball. So freshman year, we get into it, and I didn't start off to begin the season for some reasons we don't want to talk about in this video. Maybe that's another story time. But eventually, I win the starting spot. And back in my school, when we get to the PE class or gym, we used to do these tests every semester. We had like the 40-yard run. We had the long jump. Just a bunch of different things. You tally your score. Maybe you beat a record in school history, but they tally it and they send all your results to some other place. We had the high jump. I don't know why we had this, because nobody told you how to high jump. If you ask anybody that is in the track and field realm, it's actually a technique to play the high jump. And nobody taught us that. They're basically like, you know what? You run, you jump, and we're going to see how high you can jump. And me being me, I like jumping. So I jump, and you're supposed to go backwards, and I land on my shoulder. And I get this quick pain. I look down at it, and nothing seems wrong. I get up, and the pain is no longer there. That was the first time I dislocated my shoulder, but there was something called subluxation shoulder dislocation. I had to Google it just to make sure I got the name right. It's basically when your shoulder pops out of socket, but most of the time it'll pop itself back in, and it's like nothing even happened. The pain instantly goes away, and you can go on doing everything you would normally do in your life. So because of that, it popped itself back in, and me not thinking anything of it, I didn't tell anyone. I went on with my day like I normally would. I completed all the different tasks they had you do at PE, and I went on to basketball practice. And then for a couple weeks, nothing really happened. But little did I know, there was a very small tear in my labrum. The labrum is the thing, the small tissue that keeps your shoulder in that socket so you can do the things. But I had a very small tear in it. So a couple weeks go past, I'm playing basketball regularly, and then we get into practice. We're doing this drill. Let me demonstrate what this drill is like. Okay. So I need you to imagine I'm on the baseline underneath the rim, and my teammate is also under the baseline on the other side. Coach is going to pass him the ball, and my job is to contest his shot to prevent him from scoring, and his job is to go through the contact and finish the bucket. That's the drill we're running. So we're running that drill. I don't remember exactly which teammate it was going up. I raise my hand to try to block the ball. Contact comes, boom, it dislocates again. This time people see it because you can visually see when the shoulder is out of his pocket. But just like the last time, it pops itself back in. So coach did see it, but it popped itself back in. He asked me if I was okay, and I said yes, because I'm a fighter. I like playing ball. Well, I did at that time. So we continued on with practice like nothing happened. But little did I know, it tore a little bit more. Every time it popped out of its socket, it tore a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's exactly what happened. So that continued to happen a couple times a week, honestly. My shoulder would dislocate itself, but me being the fighter and me not wanting to lose my starting spot and me wanting to play ball, I didn't really tell anybody when it happened because, again, it would pop itself back in. And then we get to the game, when it happened in game. Because most of the time it would happen in practice. For some reason, my shoulders were standing up and I was going through the contact trying to finish at the rim in the games, but in practice, it would come out. So then we get to the game against Fenton High School. Maybe some of y'all that's watching this video knows about Fenton High School here in Illinois. But we get to that game, and we are, let's just say we are destroying them, right? It's close to halftime. I have about 10 points at this time, which at halftime for me was a crazy amount. Back in my day, the scores wasn't that high. You feel me? So if I had 10 points at halftime, I was on pace to drop a dub. And I don't think anybody on our B team roster did that except for our big man a couple times. As far as the guards go, that didn't really happen because freshman year, not many of us were great shooters and this and that. But I had 10 points at the half. So my coach calls this play on the sidelines out of bounds, where basically a teammate sets a pick for me and I shoot straight to the basket. Easy lob, well not lob, but an easy outlet pass, and I finish at the rim. The plays run too close to perfection, but there's a guy on my left side as I'm going in for the bucket. He reaches over my hand and boom, my shoulder comes out. And this time is different because it doesn't go back in. I feel the pain, but I'm in such a rush of the game that I don't notice it. I just feel slightly pain, and you can hear the crowd go because they literally see my shoulder out of his pocket. Like, this was back here. So I'm walking around. Coach is like, Beecham, because for some reason in sports, they always call you by last name. Coach is like, Beecham, come here. Are you okay? I'm like, I guess not. And he says, this was my coach's exact words. I guess they got to pull you out the game, huh? Shout out to Coach, man. Coach is a dog. He wanted to win games regardless of what was going on. So they pulled me out of the game, and still this whole time my shoulder is out of its socket. So that means the pain is just growing and growing and growing and growing. Because again, before it'll come out, it'll pop back in, and then the healing was done. Like there was no pain. But with it being there, I was just there with the pain. So the nice, a training assistant at Fenton High School takes me to the locker room, and she puts it back in place. She gives me a sling and some ice, and she said, you're going to have to go to the doctor when you get a chance. And if it was my choice, I wouldn't have told Coach that, but she told Coach that. So Coach was like, you're not cleared to play until the doctor tells me you can. So I had to go to the doctor. They did this entire procedure of x-rays and different type of scans. They put me in this big old machine that was loud, and I was a little frightened by it. And it turns out that I tore my labrum. You know how I said little by little and little and little? Again, it goes like this. So it's kind of like a ball. I had torn it 270%. Not 270%, 270 degrees out of 360 degrees, because it's a full circle. So most of my labrum was gone, which means that my shoulder was holding on in its pocket just by a little bit of tissue. So the doctor tells me you have two options. You can either A, get a surgery to repair your labrum and then go to physical therapy for about 5 months and then you're back to normal, or you can say forget the surgery, just go straight to physical therapy, but there is a chance you may re-tear your labrum. And regardless of what I picked, I would be right back in time for, guess what? Sophomore year of basketball. But I was like, the idea of me going through that, I don't want to do it, so I'm going to opt into that surgery. So that's where we get this. This one. You see where the story is going? This one was from that first surgery. So we go through surgery, go through physical therapy, everything's great. I'm healed up for basically 2 days or 2 to 3 days before sophomore tryouts, which means that I had no summertime whatsoever to get better. Again, I was on the B team my freshman year, which means that statistically, I probably won't make my sophomore team. There's only 12 spots, and those 12 spots can go to everybody that was just on A team last year. They were in the gym getting better and better and better, and I wasn't. But they did not stop me from trying out, and guess what, y'all? I made the roster. I was on the roster. That's all that matters, right? It's not about how much PT you get. It's about making a roster. Okay, yeah, I didn't get much PT my sophomore year, but that's completely fine. I beat out some guys that had been working all summer coming off straight off of surgery. So if you ask me, that's a huge dub. But that's not where the story ends. Sophomore year goes fine. As far as the shoulder goes, again, I don't get much PT, but that's okay. I'm on the squad and yeah, we'll leave it at that. It goes fine with the shoulder, but this is where things get crazy. The last day of school, me and my friends decide to not go. We ditched, okay? And that is the first time I've ever ditched school entirely. You know, every once in a while I wouldn't go to a certain period or whatever, but like I ditched the entire day of school to go to the gym. While we were at the gym, my boy Tyler was going up for a shot. I tried to block it and pop. It popped out again. Which is bad that I dislocated my shoulder again, but it's super bad because I was in a place I wasn't supposed to be. So they had to call my parents. And instead of me being in class, I was at a gym. Yeah. So the doctor, he did his best and he promised us that I wasn't going to re-tear it, but I did. And this time, it was a full 360. Just by me attempting that one block, I tore it completely, which is crazy. So this time, my dad was like, you know what? We're not going to this dude. We're going to go to the best of the best. So we went to the same people that do surgeries on the Chicago Bulls. The same exact guy that repaired my shoulder for the second time was the guy that repaired Derrick Rose's ACL. Me and Derrick Rose got some weird connections. Both born in Chicago, both born on October 4th, and both got surgeries done by the same doctor. So that's why we get this second scar, and then there's one more scar in the back because, again, it was a full 360, so he had to get in the back to repair it as well. And that's pretty much where my basketball life ended. Of course, every once in a while, I still hit the gym, but I play a lot more cautiously because I'm still a little bit frightened of messing up my shoulder again. So I sit at the three-point line a lot more. I'm not driving to the lane. But you know what? I just bought a new ball. I just bought a new pair of LeBrons to hoop in. So Kenny's coming back to the court, man. Kenny is coming back to the court. So that's the end. All right. If I want to seem super cool, I should probably take this out of the... Okay. All right. The evolution, too. The best of the best. Nothing but it. And that is where the story ends, man. Kenny's basketball career is over. Now, I got plenty of other stories in my head of... You know, I can retell the story about the day I was ejected from a game. I can tell y'all about the night I had my career high. I can tell y'all about when I was younger. I won this trophy. Like, this was like a big deal for me when I was younger. And I mean, it obviously still is because I have it right here, and it's from 2006. So I have plenty of other stories, basketball related or even non-basketball related. Just let me know if you enjoyed this by leaving a like. Thank y'all so much. Peace.